Mr. Baker Mayfield himself. The news broke last week, which was pretty much the big news of last week in general. Baker Mayfield is no longer a Cleveland Brown, and the Carolina Panthers were able to get a deal done to where he is now a Carolina Panther. Is he their starting quarterback? I don't know. I don't know. You would think he's their starting quarterback. But let's kind of go back and let's kind of backtrack here. How we even got to this point. How we even got to this point. Let me catch up a little bit on chat here. Good, you? I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay for a Monday. I'm doing good. Otherwise, my weekend was good. I woke up this morning feeling under the weather and not so good, so I called off from work to rest. Hey, sometimes you just need a day to rest. If you're not feeling great, sometimes you just need that day. Sometimes you just need that time. So good on you for calling off work today and just chilling and relaxing, and hopefully you'll be back up to 100% tomorrow. So I totally know how you feel about that. Save Money in the house. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. How are you, C Money? Good to see you. But going back to Baker, let's just talk about how we got here, right? Baker Mayfield was the first drafted, first overall pick. What was it? The 2017 draft, 2018 draft? I can't remember. Of course, this would be an excellent time to get my cheat sheet out here. Let's look at Baker Mayfield. 2018, he was taken number 1 overall by the Cleveland Browns in 2018. I'm gonna turn this music down here. There we go. It's a bit of a distraction. But yeah, 2018 is when he was taken. And Baker, unfortunately, is just one of those guys that you either love or you either hate. I could be wrong. Baker Mayfield coming into the league he came into the league with, I'll just go ahead and say it, what seemed like an attitude problem. Just the way he would do things that would just rub people the wrong way. What's going on, Gero? He would do things that would rub people the wrong way. And I can say that throughout his tenure in Cleveland, I get where he was coming from and wanting to be the face of the franchise, wanting to change the narrative about the Cleveland Browns, wanting to bring winning back to the Cleveland Browns. But there were ways in which he went about it that just weren't great. I don't know where all of a sudden it became cool to come into the league with an attitude and having a chip on your shoulder. And I don't know, maybe he felt like he needed to develop that attitude as like a defense mechanism. But the problem with that is that your play has to back that up. And Giro, you hit the nail on the head. Your play has to back that up. Can Baker Mayfield win you games? Absolutely. He's won games in Cleveland, okay? But the biggest thing that Baker couldn't do, and we will see in his new journey if he can, is win big games. Win games that matter. Win games that take you on to the next level. What's going on, Tatiana? I'm good. How are you? Appreciate you coming in. But you know what? You said it. That man is all bark and no bite. He's played through injury. He's played, especially last year. You know, he had that whole shoulder situation going on. And I guess I commend him for doing what he did in some regard. But it's a very small percentage in me commending him. I think the reason Baker played hurt was because he wanted to prove to Cleveland, number one, that he actually wanted to be there. It was very obvious that he was trying to play for that big payout, right? Because he was coming at the end of his rookie deal, and he was totally eyeing that $200 million contract, whatever it was going to be. I'm all right. Just been busy uploading, etc. Hey, I get it. Glad is everything is well with you. Yep, everything is good. So then, at the end of the season, maybe about a month. I don't even know if it was a month, but the season ends. You hear this narrative specifically from the coach, and more than likely, he was just going through the motions and saying what he said, but he said Baker's our guy. Baker's our guy. There was talk as if they were going to start having contract conversations. Like, at the end of the season, it definitely came off as if Baker was going to be their guy for the future. Because at the time, it seemed like, well, what other options do the Cleveland Browns have? They have no other options. So, and I always kind of joked about it in that, yeah, what other options do you have? Like, are you going to start, the Browns are infamous for starting the process over and over and over again when it comes to the quarterback position. This guy didn't work, so we gotta get a quarterback in this draft. This guy, they have a mountain of quarterbacks that they have gone through, really since they came back to Cleveland, which was in 1999. And so, it really just seemed like they were going to stick with Baker. And then the bombshell of them all happened. I didn't see this coming. I think anybody who saw this coming potentially might not be telling the truth. But, I don't know. But, excellent point here. Excellent point here, Giro. Coaches say those things to keep their nose down. I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly in making that statement. They do say those things to keep their nose down. They don't want to bring any type of attention to them, right? Out of nowhere, the Cleveland Browns had this strong interest in Deshaun Watson, a quarterback that was having some legal problems. We'll eventually get back into those issues. We're not going to talk about Deshaun today, but legal issues with, we all know what it is. We've heard it ad nauseum. Noise. My bad. He said noise. My bad. He said to keep the noise down. I'm telling you, reading is hard for me. Reading is hard for me. I'm sorry. But to an extent, yes, you got to keep your nose down, right? You got to keep your nose down. Hey, I'm trying to get back. Cut me some slack, man. I'm trying to get back on track. Help me. Does that make sense? Help me to keep the noise down. Time to get a new monitor. It's funny you say that, C-Money, because so right now I have a dual monitor set up. I have one right here and one at the top. I'm going to go back to the side-by-side. I think that's going to help me with reading what's going on in the chat. I'm going back to the side-by-side. The mount that I ordered a mount. It's supposed to come in today. And when it does come in today, I'm going to set it up and I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to go back to the side-by-side. Me having to look up, it's not where it's at. It's not where it's at all. But anyway, the Browns come out of left field, signed Deshaun Watson to over $230 million contract, and every single penny of that contract is guaranteed. It's guaranteed. So Baker really didn't have a choice but to feel some type of way. And there was conversation as to whether or not Baker should have known that this was coming, or there was no way that he didn't know that this was coming. And so as many of you know, I am not a fan of Baker. I do have room to change my opinion about him. It's really going to depend on his attitude moving forward. But I was never a fan of Baker Mayfield. And I know Browns fans who also were never a fan of Baker Mayfield at all. Our homie just may put me on this new LG monitor. Yeah, those are the only monitors that I use. I'm gonna send you the link later. Yeah, do it. But yeah, I don't use any other monitors other than LG. Like the monitor that I'm looking at right now is LG. Love me some LG. Baker must have very disliked. I heard Shannon Sharp say that Baker was the worst number 1 pick ever. Must have forgot Cleveland drafted Tim Cobb. Yeah, he probably did forget that. He probably. Here's the thing. Whether you look at it from this perspective or not, Baker did win that franchise games. He just didn't win them games when it mattered. We have to remember that this is a franchise that was struggling to win games, you know? So Baker, he had to do what he had to do, which was get the hell out of Cleveland. And at the time, the team names that were floating around were, I think the biggest one that was floating around was the Indianapolis Colts at the time. We heard Colts. We heard, who else did we hear, chat? We heard Colts, obviously Carolina. Then Seattle somehow came into the mix. What were some other ones? I think we all thought it was interesting too that there wasn't a quarterback swap. When the Texans sent up Deshaun, they didn't send down Baker. The Texans said, no, we're good. We're going to go in a different direction. It's fine. It's totally fine. You guys can keep him. We don't need him. We don't want him. You guys can keep him. Right? So, that being that, you're right. They do go through quarterbacks like gas. That's just what they do. That's just totally what they do. But in any event, you know, Baker had to do what he had to do, which was get the hell out of Dodge. And when the Colts decided to go with Matt Ryan, we said, all right, well, clearly the Colts are out of it. And so where did that leave us? At the end of the day, it left us with Seattle and it left us with the Carolina Panthers. And the biggest drawback or the biggest setback that teams were having was whether or not they wanted to. So the Browns were looking for a team, was actively looking for a team to pick up the remaining balance of his rookie contract, which I think was what, like $16 million, $18 million. I don't know, like right off the bat, like the exact amount of what it was. But teams were like, listen, we like Baker, but we're not just going to pay him $16 to $18 million just because you guys don't want him anymore. Right? So the Carolina Panthers were able to come up. What's going on, Alec? They were able to come up with a deal. And I think that deal was Cleveland is still picking up the majority of his rookie contract. And I think from what I saw, the Carolina Panthers are, it is very high for a quarterback. The Carolina Panthers are picking up like a little over $4 million. And then the Browns are picking up the rest of that. The Browns are picking up the rest of that. So the question that I have, and I'm eager to know like where you guys stand with this too, is are we going to see the same Baker that we saw in Cleveland? Or are we going to see someone different? Immediately, when I ask that question and when I think of that question, I just think about his attitude. That is the first thing that I gravitate to is Baker's attitude. I think it would be a mistake. I think it would be an absolute mistake for Baker to go into Carolina with the same exact demeanor that he had in Cleveland. Now, mind you, I know the temptation is going to be there. I know the temptation is absolutely going to be there for Baker. Why? Because week 1, he plays his old team. Straight out of the gate, Baker is playing the Cleveland Browns week 1 in Carolina. So straight out of the gate, he's just going to have all those emotions. It's going to be his utmost priority to beat the living snot out of Cleveland. As of right now, we have no idea who Cleveland's starting quarterback is going to be week 1. We just don't. And it's laughable to think, chat. It's laughable to think that Baker was going to come back after everything that had happened, after everything that had transpired. It was laughable to think that Baker was going to come back and things were going to settle down and he was going to come back and be their starter week 1. I give it to Baker for having the attitude that he had. I really do. B Parks is just here so that he can represent Cougar Nation. And that's fine. That's fine. Well, we're going to talk about him towards the end. We're definitely going to talk about him towards the end. Baker player props finna go stupid. I think you might be right about that, C Money. I think you might be right about that. But, here's the thing, Baker just cannot have the same attitude that he had in Cleveland. He needs to settle down. He needs to find a way. I'm not saying, listen, let me be clear when I say this, okay? I'm not saying that Baker can't feel the way that he feels about things. By no means, I'm not saying that at all. What's going on, SD? Y'all in this Cougar Nation, man. I'm not saying that Baker can't feel the way that he feels. What I'm saying is he has to find a better way to control that. He has to find a better way to harness those emotions, right? Talk your smack after you've won a championship, right? Case in point, we just got done with the NBA Finals. The Golden State Warriors they won again, right? This is their 4th championship that they've won. What is it that you heard Klay Thompson, and Simone, I want you to chime in on this and let me know if I'm right or wrong. What did you hear Klay Thompson? What did you hear Steph Curry? They all knew what the media and other players were saying about them. But you didn't hear about it during the season. You didn't hear about it during the playoffs and during their series run. You heard about it after they did what they came there to do, which was win a championship, right? The whole zero, Baker has to find a way to harness those emotions and to compartmentalize things that people are saying about him, whether it's his attitude, which that's the biggest thing that I harp on, right? Whether it was his attitude, whether it was his play. Let your play speak for itself. Compartmentalize all of those things that people are saying about you. And once you've won something, once you've won a championship, then that's when you go in. That's when you go in. They'll never win again. Things like they'll never win. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Everyone just completely wrote the Golden State Warriors off. But when did they do their chirping? They did their chirping after they won a championship. He has to find a way to, that is probably the best advice that I could give Baker. That's probably the best advice that anybody could give Baker. Really. You have to find listen, like I said, as of right now, I am not a Baker Mayfield fan. But there is a part of me, there is a part of me that wants him to change. Hey, what's up, Lady K? There's a part of me that wants him to change, and that wants him to find a better way to take the naysayers. People say ignore it. When you're at that level and when you're at that stage, it is super hard to ignore it. It is super hard to ignore it. Jerry Rice used to read about what the media said about him, and used to use that as fuel to play the way he did on Sunday. And that's what Baker has to do. Like, people are talking about you. People are saying things about you. Hang on. I got this new chat feature, and I don't know why it gets cut off at the top here, but we're gonna expand it here. This is my new way of incorporating what you guys are saying in chat into the actual stream, and I'm excited about it, but I can't be having y'all's profile and whatnot cut off. We can't be having none of that. But yeah, exactly. You already know what the storylines are going to be if Baker loses this game. Number one, if Baker is starting and he loses the game, week 1, you already know what the media is going to say. They're going to write him off. They're going to say, well, nothing's changed. He can't even beat his old team. This is the same Baker that we saw in Cleveland, just got transferred to Carolina. Carolina, I mean, is only paying $4 million for him, so, I guess it wasn't a bad deal, but it's the same old. He fights every ounce to be average. I just think that if he just found a better way to compartmentalize his emotions, to compartmentalize his thoughts, Baker has fight in him. He does. He does have fight in him. I've seen Baker make plays. But the problem with Baker is he doesn't make plays when they count. Transferred is crazy. Baker needs to make plays when they count. And that's his biggest issue. Yeah, and it's funny you say that, Lady K, because that's what Giro said at the beginning. He said that Baker, for the most part, is just, he's all bark and no bite. But the curiosity is there as to whether or not we're going to see that bite in Carolina. Are we going to see that bite in Carolina? I don't know. I honestly don't even know. Maybe. There is a part of me that wants Baker to be successful. I can't say it enough. I'm not a Baker Mayfield fan, but after what Cleveland did, he didn't have a choice but to go about business the way that he went about business. And I think all along, I think he wanted to be in Carolina. I think he probably felt like that was the best situation for him. Personally, I would have loved to have seen him go to Seattle, because Seattle does need quarterback help. Also, I think one of the first things that needs to happen once Baker gets down there, I mean, I'm sure he's already down there, but he and what's his name, Robbie Anderson, they need to go to dinner. Because there was some things that he said that he's now saying was taken out of context. And I get what he was saying. So for those of you that don't know, I didn't make a slate for this, but Robbie Anderson, I guess a while back, was asked about his thoughts or something as far as Baker coming to Carolina. And his response was no. And naturally, the media took that as, I mean, and I would have taken it the same way too. I'm not saying this as like, the media, they're going off and they're making something out of nothing. I totally would have had this perspective too, but the media understood that and took that as Anderson doesn't want Baker because Baker's not good, he's trash, he doesn't want to play with them, and that's just what the understanding was. But he then later came out and said that he said what he said. He actually did say that. He said, I said what I said. But to defend his quarterback, Sam Darnold. And he even later on went on to say that Sam Darnold just wasn't developed correctly, and he wasn't developed right when he was in New York. And there might be some truth to that. But listen. I was never, ever high on Sam Darnold coming out of the draft. Never high on it. The fact that Sam Darnold got selected in the first round still blows my mind. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. His bowl game performance? Hold on. Let me pull up Sam Darnold here. His bowl game performance was terrible. Terrible. And I always forget who they played in that bowl game. Sam Darnold came out of USC. Let's see. He was drafted in 2018. I think, yeah, it was Ohio State. It was Ohio State. It was the Cotton Bowl. How could I forget? It was the Cotton Bowl. The Trojans got worked. Absolutely manhandled by Ohio State in the 2017 Cotton Bowl, and the final score was 24-7. 24-7. This sounds like a song by Hook. This song specifically? This don't sound like Hook. I'll spare you guys. There have been times where I've thought about playing Hook on one of these shows, but I will definitely spare you guys. I'll save Hook for another. I'll save a Hook for another day. I don't know. We'll see. I was never, because of that bowl game performance. Lady K, I was never high on him as a first round draft pick. What's going on, Run It Black? Good to see you. Hello, welcome in. Oh, the beat? Oh my gosh. Not the beat though. I just was never, because of that bowl game, I was just never high on him. And then when the Jets took him, I'm just like, why? Did you guys not see his performance against Ohio State? And that's what you want to draft? So maybe he wasn't developed the right way in New York. I don't know what his excuse is after Carolina picked him up. I just don't think Sam Darnold is that guy. I don't. I could be wrong. I think training camp and the competition is going to be interesting. I mean, if we're just being honest, more than likely it's going to be Baker that gets the starting nod, but I'll always remember Sam for the 2017 Rose Bowl performance. Legendary. It was terrible. Wait. You said Rose Bowl, not the Cotton Bowl. Yeah, his last game. Maybe that was the 20. Maybe you're talking about 2016. Hold on. He cooked Penn State. Well, he did not cook Ohio State. I don't know. Again, like I said, I just was never high on Sam Darnold coming into the NFL. And when he went as high as he did, I think that was just like I mean, the Jets have a history of drafting USC quarterbacks. The last one that they had before him was Mark Sanchez. Maybe they had it in their mind that he was going to be the next Mark Sanchez, but we saw how that experiment turned out. Also, this is the same guy that said he sees ghosts on the field. He admittedly said that he sees ghosts on the field. I mean, that's just an experiment that's bound to not work out. To not work out at all. But again, we'll wrap up Baker here. I'm happy for Baker. I'm glad that he's getting a fresh start. But if he intends to take that attitude that he had in Cleveland down to Carolina, it's just not going to be a good thing. It's not going to be a good thing. I think Carolina's defense is okay. If Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy, I think they've got, obviously the run game is there. Outside of Robbie Anderson, I don't know what their receiving core truly is. I don't even know who their tight end is. But You know, everyone deserves a fresh start. Everyone deserves to start over. You know, everyone deserves that. They won in spite of Sanchez's #1 defense and #1 rushing attack. That's right. They did. They did. In fact, I think they tell me if I'm right or wrong here, but didn't they make it to 3 AFC championship games? Didn't they? But they never made it to the Super Bowl. I think one AFC championship game they played the Colts. I think lost to the Colts. They lost to my Steelers. And I forget who the third one was. Maybe it was I forget who the third one was. I really do. But yeah, I feel like it was 3 straight championship games and he lost them. Exactly. I'm not exactly. Hold on. Let's get that highlighted here. You hit the nail on the head. And the reason that's the only thing that they remember, Lady K, is because freaking outlets like ESPN just bloated it. They just completely bloated it and blew it up. They just kept playing it over and over. I mean, they were literally making series of like, I don't know. They were making so much content behind that butt fumble. And it was the way in which the butt fumble happened too. Like, he hit that butt so hard. Like, he ricocheted. Mark Sanchez absolutely ricocheted. But anything else on Baker? Anything else on Baker that we want to talk about? I think we're gonna wrap up Baker here. Yeah, that was well too. That butt fumble was in a primetime game against the Patriots, of course. That was gonna get memed. You're right. You're absolutely right. If it was against somebody else, it probably wouldn't have been as crazy. But because it was the Patriots, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It was gonna get memed. Sandra Douglass-Morgan, chat. I love this. I love this. I love this. I love this. We were absolutely going to talk about this. Sandra, she's my new favorite person, by the way. Sandra Douglass-Morgan was named the newest president of the Las Vegas Raiders last week. She has an impeccable. Hey, I just got here. Can you talk in depth about Jimmy Garoppolo? No, we're not going to talk in depth about Jimmy Garoppolo. Which reminds me, did I make the announcement I completely forgot to make that announcement about subject matters. Exclamation before we actually get into this, exclamation Discord. I have a new channel in my Discord called NFL Topics. And Brian is completely trolling me right now, and that's fine, because this is who Brian is. I don't want to change him. This is what he does. This is why we love Big Stupid, okay? Sometimes I would have people come in here and want me to talk about things that are totally not on the subject matter for the show. I have created a channel in my Discord, okay? I have created a channel in my Discord where you can put in suggestions as to what it is that you want me to talk about. Okay, I put things in there. My community members have been putting things in there. There's some things in there that we can definitely talk about for the next show that I wasn't able to put in for this show. I went into this show thinking that there wasn't a lot of content, but there were things that happened over the weekend and things that happened today. And that's just the nature of the beast when it comes to these type of shows, is you have a game plan and then something else develops, but we do the best that we can, right? We do the best that we can. But Sandra Douglass-Morgan was, I think she is. She, prior to being named president for the Las Vegas Raiders, was an attorney. I think she still is an attorney. She served on the Nevada State Athletic Commission and was the chairwoman for the Nevada Gaming Control Board. That is awesome. She was once a defense attorney. She became a litigation attorney for the Mirage. From 2005 to 2008, she was a city attorney in North Las Vegas. By the way, I do see a trend, though. I do see a trend with team presidents having a background of being a lawyer, which is awesome. Which is absolutely awesome. Let's see. She later joined the Nevada State Gaming, joined the gaming board, and she joined the gaming board in 2019. And she was appointed by the governor. She became the first African American to serve as chair. During her tenure, she introduced reforms and was responsible for closing and reopening casinos during COVID-19 pandemic. In this period, she served in the state COVID-19 task force. After she left the control board, she joined the board of Caesars Entertainment, as well as the boards of Allegiant Airlines, Fidelity, and Cyber Centennial. She joined the law firm Covington and Burling LLP as counsel in November 2021, and she owns her own consulting service, Douglass-Morgan LLC. Go ahead with your bad self. In December 2019, Morgan was named vice chair of the Las Vegas host committee for Super Bowl. What is this? Super Bowl LV. I don't know which one that is. The one that's scheduled for 2024. All right. And then, of course, on July 7th, she was announced as their new team president. She was hired as the first Black female team president in the National Football League. She is also the third woman and third African American in NFL history to become a president of an NFL team. Is she married? Well, that's an interesting question. I would think with a resume like that, and I'm just being honest, I could be ignorant in this. What's going on, Dean? How are you? Good to see you. It's very possible that the love life may have been put on the back burner. I mean, this resume, chat. This resume is just, it's impeccable. Yeah, she has to be married. I don't know if she has kids. I mean, sometimes there is such thing, and this applies to men too, but, you know, they want to get themselves established. They want to get their career going. They want to get all of those things in place before they get married and before they start a family. I don't know if she's married, but like I said, there is such thing as sometimes people putting family life and starting a family on the back burner so that they can, you know, get to where they want to be from a career standpoint. There is such thing as that. She probably is. She could be. Listen, chat, I just read off to you her amazing resume, and the fact that she's a lawyer is even more appealing to me. But we need to talk about the dark side of this. Matter of fact, let me go ahead. Some of you probably already know where I'm going with this. You probably already know where I'm going with this, and I have to admit that Deadspin was, from what I saw on social media, was the only one that acknowledged the elephant in the room. Okay? As far as his hire. I deep down in my heart, chat, me as an African American woman, African American female, I am black. Okay? BELACK. I am a black woman. No one in this world. So she is married and she's got 2 kids. Awesome. What's going on, Vic? How are you? Thank you for letting me know that. No one more than me wants to believe that she was hired for her experience. She was hired for her impeccable resume. She was hired for all of her accomplishments that she had and is continuing to have in Las Vegas. No one more wants to believe that. Okay? But having been around the NFL and knowing their tendencies, I am very, very suspicious about specifically why she was hired. Okay? It wasn't that long ago. Okay? It wasn't that long ago where the Las Vegas Raiders, they were under some fire. They were under some fire based on how things were being done and how the organization, how the front office was being ran from an administrative standpoint. So there's two divisions of a football franchise. You have football operations, which is, coaches, trainers, the players, of course, security, that aspect of it. And then you have the administrative side of it. That's your marketing, that's your sponsorship, that's your charitable fundraise, charity type. That's all of that stuff. So like your marketing and your sponsorship and all that stuff, that's considered administrative, right? So you, like I said, you've got football operations, and then you've got the administrative. Okay, and for those of you that are just now learning this, her being the team president, she will be responsible for the administrative side of things. So she'll be overseeing legal, she'll be overseeing marketing. She all of those VPs. So your VP of marketing, your VP of sponsorships, your VP of foundation or charity, all those VPs will be reporting to her, right? They will be reporting to her, and they will be reporting high level things, right? So people like myself, I worked in the NFL, I worked in the digital space, which was the marketing department. I'm the worker, right? I'm just the worker. I report to my director. My director then reports to the VP, who oversees everything that's happening in marketing. And then that VP reports to her. And then she reports to the owner, right? They don't need to know when she has that meeting with the owner. She's not gonna go in there and say, oh yeah, and our digital coordinator or our digital manager, blah 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 blah. No. The stuff that I did didn't make it to that level. So I think you guys are starting to see, hopefully you guys are understanding the hierarchy that I'm talking about here. Okay? So Jacqueline, you used to work with someone really cool named Jacqueline too. Just saying, this is true. Chat, please welcome my friend Jacqueline. Jackie, she's in the chat right now. She and I used to work together at Xavier. She's awesome. She's amazing. I love her. I appreciate you coming through the chat. But yes, I used to work with Jacqueline. She's an amazing designer. She's an amazing digital designer as well. She can do it all. So Jacqueline, appreciate you coming by the stream. So glad you're here. But yeah, this is ultimately what Sandra is going to be. This is what she's going to be controlling, right? She's going to be overseeing the administrative side of things. For the football side, that's not. I mean, I'm sure she'll be a part of meetings. I'm sure she'll get briefed on things, but in terms of control, she won't be handling the football operations side of things. Okay. She's only going to be handling the administrative side. Of course, Jacqueline. Of course. So Deadspin, on Friday wrote this article. Oh God, Siri's acting up. Wrote this article, and the headline is Raiders make NFL history again, but it's another instance of a minority being brought in to clean up the mess. Again, This is the elephant in the room, chat. This is the elephant in the room. Hey, Papa James gifting a sub to Jacqueline. Let's go. Let's get some hype in the chat. Let's get some whoopies and neenies in the chat. Enjoy the stream. Enjoy the emotes. Front row seat just for you. I have a devil's advocate take here. When do you not have a devil's advocate take? But let's talk about it. Before I get further into it, let's talk about it, C Money. I'm all yours. I'm all yours. We can have an open, honest conversation. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and read some of this Deadspin article. Let's see. The Las Vegas Raiders are making history again from the front end, hiring Sandra da-da-da-da-da. Lady K said, we don't care. Sandra Douglass-Morgan, the first black female president. At what point do we stop being skeptical about minority hires? That is an excellent question. And I think I have an answer to that. I think I have an answer to that. Hold on, let me go ahead and highlight that chat. So C Money wants to know, at what point do we stop being skeptical about minority hires? And I feel like I have an answer to that. Holy smokes! Don, thank you so much for that raid, my friend. I appreciate you coming through. If it's your first time here, I go by Lauren WKR. You're more than welcome to call me Lauren. I appreciate that follow, Blunt Man. Thank you. I hope you are well. Appreciate you coming through. Thank you. How was the stream, my guy? How was it? How we doing? Thank you so much for that raid. I hope the stream was awesome. I'm raiding you so you'll carry me in Madden squads, I hope. Hey, let's get it going. I've yet to actually play Madden squad, so I'm down to do some squads for Madden 23. So I don't know. It's very possible that you could be carrying me. But no, listen, again, I go by Lauren WKR. I am a variety streamer. I talk sports. I primarily play Madden. Totally expect me to play Madden Madden 23 when it comes out, as well as this talk show and my show with shout out to Shotmaster. We also do an NFL show called All In, so I'm looking forward to that. Joey, thank you so much for that follow. I appreciate you, my friend. Right now we're just talking about different subject matters that are going on in the league, and the subject matter that we're talking about right now is Sandra Douglass-Morgan, who was recently hired as why don't you have a Mariah Carey emote, like a Christmas emote, or just like a random Mariah Carey emote. I could get that going. What's going on, Venzo? How we doing? Hello. I hope you're well too. Let's see. Let's see. I am behind on animated emotes, Jacqueline, so I could totally do that. I could see about getting a Mariah Carey animated emote. But anyway, again, Don, thank you so much for that raid. I appreciate you. All of our new follows, all of our new viewers, welcome in. And yeah, let's continue on with the show here. So the question was, C Money had a very, very good question. He said, at what point do we stop being skeptical about minority hires? How do we expect to get better if we question every hire? It's not, okay. I'm not questioning her ability. I'm not I know that she's capable of doing the job. And I think a lot of people know that she's capable of doing the job. Here's where the skepticism comes into play, okay? And Deadspin kind of hit the nail on the head. It's why she was hired, okay? Why she was hired. Why she's clearly being brought in to clean up a mess, okay? It's a mess right now, clearly, with the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't doubt her abilities. I don't doubt what she's capable of doing. Like I said, her resume is outstanding. It's impeccable. If I could start over again, I would totally take the path that she took. But why is it that it's always a minority that gets hired to clean up these messes? Why can't it be a situation where a team president did great things, just, you know, the organization is going well, things are going good, they're seeing returns, they're seeing growth, the numbers are accelerating, and they say, you know what, I came here to do what I came here to do. It's time for me to take on the next challenge. And then someone such as herself comes in and does the same thing, right? And does the same thing. It's always a situation where it is a dumpster fire. It is a dumpster fire. So it ends up being the situation where the organization's like, well, not only do we need a new team president, but let's make ourselves, and this is the perception. I'm not saying that this is actually true. I'm just saying what the perception is. The perception then becomes, let's hire a minority so we can make ourselves look like we're really about what we might not really be about. At least not right now. At least not right now. You know what I mean? Gotta bounce. Keep doing your thing. Thank you, Jacqueline. I appreciate you coming through as always. We gotta connect soon. We gotta get together for a lunch at some point. I need to see Miss Missy. She's getting so big and she's looking more and more like you every day. My favorite, oh my gosh, what was it? I think it was your Instagram story where she had like the it was the fire snapper or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. It was the snapper. Either you gave it to her or Zach gave it to her, and she just she took it and she just dropped it and then she just walked away. She just totally mic dropped the popper and was just like, I'm out of here. I think I watched that IG story 8 times. It was just so cute and it was just so funny. But okay, because if your organization is going well, who gets fired, who gets replaced? Unless someone retires. Right, I'm with you. The Raiders organization made some strides though. Let me get some of these comments in the up in here. That's the easy answer for ownership groups. I bet they us are making less than the people who are made who made them the mess too. It's possible. It's just, my thing is, why is it that minorities are always hired to fix a problem? To me, it's just the perception is the optics. The perception is, let's hire a woman. Let's hire a black woman to make it look like we're really progressing, to make it look like we're really, on the right track of being the face of diversity and what this country is supposed to be about, But on the back end, they're brought in to fix the issues that they in themselves have caused. So in their mind, it's kind of, I hope I'm explaining this right. It's kind of difficult to look at it from this perspective, but it's a win for her and it's a win for ownership. It's a win for her because, yes, she has the skill sets to do the job, but it is another advancement in her career. And it's a potential win for ownership because it's like, ooh, look at my shiny new toy. Look, I'm being diverse. I'm being, I'm being progressive. I'm being, I'm thinking outside of the box. I was the first. Yeah, that's what it is. I was the first to hire a black female president in the NFL, you know? So it's almost like a trade-off in some regard. I understand that using history against it, but at what point do we stop being skeptical? That's all I wanted to ask. I'm not skeptical about her abilities. I know that she's going to do amazing things for the Las Vegas Raiders. I look forward to hearing her name a lot more in terms of doing instrumental things in the league from an administrative standpoint, because that's what she's overseeing as the president. I am not skeptical about her abilities. I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of the NFL talking out of both sides of their mouth. Okay? I'm sick and tired of them doing things for optics at the expense of minorities. Okay? Let's Black Lives Matter on the back of helmets, but yet and still we're still seeing racial inequalities when it comes to the things that certain coaches are doing or certain organizations are saying. That's what I'm tired of. Okay? I'm tired of let's hire a minority, let's hire a Latino, let's hire a Latina, let's hire an Asian, let's hire a black person to fix this. It's not our problem to fix, I guess is what I'm ultimately trying to say. At some point, you have to look at yourself, whatever race you are, you have to, why is it always something that we have to fix? Why do we have to be the ones to clean it up? I understand what C Money is saying, but when you get, hold on, let me highlight this. I understand what C Money is saying, but when you begin to look at the claims that the Raiders have and claims about toxic workplace for women and what happened, thank you, Vic. Thank you for. I thought I freaking fixed this, man. Hold on. How fitting is it? How convenient is it, right, for the Raiders to hire an African American female after the claims of having discrepancies and problems within the gender that you just hired? I think you're missing the point here. I get what you're saying. We have to stop being skeptical. We have to stop being skeptical about minority hires. But the reason that we're skeptical is because we are always brought in to fix a problem that really isn't our problem to fix. You know, to me, it's like, let's hire this person so people, let's hire a black person so people can stop. Let's hire a black person in a high position so that people now know that you can't say bad things about black people or Asians or Latinos and Latinas. Like, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Do you know what I mean? Whether you're black, green, you always brought in to fix the mess. You hire. But it's just, I think Vic hit the nail on the head. Just knowing the issues and knowing the problems that the organization had. Thank you, Psycho. Ownership disparity needs to be fixed too. Okay? Every single time you see a team that's about to go up for sale or a team that is going up for sale, for me, the first thing that I want to know is what out of those owners, what minorities are on the table as possible suitors. You know? And I'm sorry, I've said this before and I have no problem saying it again. Shad Khan does not count. Period. Point blank. Case closed. He will never count. That's the real issue. Starts from the, yeah, exactly. Agreed. That is the real issue. Well, with the whole another conversation when we talk on ownership, it's kind of the same. What's going on, Isabel? It's the same context. I feel like it's the same context. You know, another thing that I hope for Sandra, and we don't have to talk about this too long. I wanted to give her praise, but I also wanted to talk about. I did want to talk about, you know, my skepticism. In fact, let me see. Yeah, so Deadspin article says, while Morgan's hire is a win for minorities across the league, the timing of it is what raises eyebrows. Too often we see blacks in the NFL brought in to clean up a mess their predecessor, usually a white male, left behind. I'm not blaming Morgan or saying that she's wrong for taking the job. We create change by being present in the room and at the discussion table. So, nothing but kudos to Sandra and her achievements. The timing of it is what stands. Thank you. Like, this article is so perfect. A couple of weeks ago, the Las Vegas Review-Journal published a piece that outlined and described the Raiders franchise as having a boy club culture that fueled turnover, lawsuits, and harassment claims. Multiple women that once worked for the organization have alleged a pattern of harassments, unequal treatment. The Review-Journal article, one woman compared the Raiders' work environment to a boys' club, and the mob wrapped and won. Wow, that's strong. So, now less than 3 weeks later, we have Las Vegas hiring a black woman to come in and seemingly make things right. The Raiders are not the only culprit in their hiring practices regarding blacks and other minorities in the front office. This has been a problem around the NFL for decades. Some people feel blacks should shut up and be happy with progress. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let me go ahead and put this up. Let me give you guys this article. It's so funny that they say that, because I legit, when I was with the Browns, I legit had someone tell me that basically, and what's crazy about it is that it was a black man that told me this, that I needed to be thankful and that I needed to be happy for even being in the position that I'm in because of things that I can't control. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it. There's nothing worse than being discriminated against something that you can't control. You know, I can't control who my parents are. I can't control the fact that I'm a woman. I mean, I can, but I believe that God made me as he made me, and I am a woman. I have estrogen, and that's just my life. But I can't control being black, you know? Yeah, the whole shut up and dribble mentality. If you guys get, I mean, I'm not going to read the whole article, but if you get an opportunity, please read this article, because it's just hitting so many nails on the head. And ultimately, see, money, this is why there is skepticism. It's always a problem with a particular group being mistreated. It's not our numbers are down, we're losing partnerships, we're losing sponsorships, this guy just isn't the one. It's always a cultural issue. And every single time it is a cultural issue, like the article said, it's typically a white male that, and I'm not, you know, I'm just saying what the article said, okay? I'm not saying that this is, I'm just saying what the article said. I'm not saying that white males are terrible at leading NFL franchises. I'm not, don't run off and say I said something that I didn't say. I'm saying what the article said, and that it is typically a situation where it's a cultural problem being ran by a Caucasian male, and it's a minority of sorts. It's a minority of sorts that always has to come in and clean up the issue and clean up the problems. That's where the skepticism comes into play. Why can't it just, like the example that I gave earlier, why can't it be a situation where things are going right, both financially, both relationship wise, as far as like your business partners, culturally? Why can't it be a situation where someone is doing phenomenal things with the organization and is said, my work here is done. I came here. I divided and conquered. I came here to do what I came to do. It's time for me to take on a next challenge. And then they get hired. It's never a situation like that. If you want to get triggered, read articles about Brittany Griner's situation on Facebook and Twitter. So I work in sports. I am a social media producer for the Sporting News, and whenever we post things about Brittany Griner, it is pretty sickening with the comments that are said. It's pretty. There's a lot of. I mean, I'm not gonna get into it, but there's a lot of nasty things that people say about her and about her situation. The proof will be when she begins to try to implement changes within the organization. Exactly, Vic. I could not agree with you more. I cannot agree with you more. You can't say it, but if you look at it, a lot of our issues do stem from males, usually in power, usually in positions of power. Yeah, exactly. Also, the Raiders, around the same time try out Cap for a backup. Yeah. They're this is a cleanup. This is Operation Cleanup for the Las Vegas Raiders right now. This is Operation Cleanup for the Las Vegas Raiders. What's going on, Brando? How we doing? Again, I don't doubt her talents. She's got an impeccable resume. A resume that people would kill for. A status that people would give anything for. I know that she is going to go. I know she's going to do a kick-ass job. I really do. I know she's going to do a kick-ass job. But it just would have been nice to this have not been another situation where it's Operation Cleanup. And just based on everything that's happened with this organization and the allegations and lawsuits and things that have happened, it would have been nice for her to not have come in within those situations. But again, me being a black woman, I'm over the moon happy for her. I think this is awesome. I want her to do great things. She's an inspiration to people like me and people, other females around the world. You know, like this is truly a win for us. But I just wish it wasn't a win in which, you know, there was a problem. I mean, this oh wow, this reminds me. When I was in the 3rd grade, so let me just kind of talk about my childhood a little bit. I was not the type of kid in school that how do I want to put this? I was, you know, I had ADD. I was funny. I never stayed on task. I was always rambunctious. And I think a lot of teachers growing up didn't really know how to process me. Like they didn't really know how to take me. And so my parents would tell you, the parent teacher conferences were always the same. She's laughing too much. She's giggling too much. She's getting other students off task. She has a hard time staying on task. If she could just minimize those things, and then she's going to be okay, and blah, 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 blah. And I think at that time, a lot of teachers just did not know how to process students that were like me, you know, add being a female and add being African American on top of that. And so I had a teacher. I don't even know if she's still alive. Her name is Mrs. Cox. She had a student of the week every week, right? She had a student of the week every week, and every week, like it was like you got to be in front of the line going to lunch. You got to be in front of the line during restroom breaks and water breaks. You passed out. You collected the papers. You passed out papers. Like you were basically like the teacher's pet for the most part, right? Like you just got special privileges when you were student of the week, right? And every week, and like you would, like on Mondays when you would come into the classroom, you would see the name on the board of the new student of the week. Week after, and I would get so excited. Because I'm like, okay, this is gonna be the week. This is gonna be the week that I see my name on the board. I see my name on the board. This is going to be the week. And week after week after week after week, I just did not see my name on the board. And I was just like, what do I have to do? I would see kids that were more rambunctious than me end up getting student of the week. And I will never forget this, chat. My Mrs. Cox actually called my house on a Sunday night, and you know how teachers, they talk to parents, and there's concerns and yada yada. And my mom respectfully just told her that the things that I had openly expressed to my parents how much I wanted to be student of the week, and how I just never got student of the week. And I will never forget overhearing the conversation of my mother telling Mrs. Cox, she's really upset because she's never student of the week. And that she looks every week to see if she's going to be student of the week, and yada, yada, yada. Because I think what Mrs. Cox tried to do was complain about me, saying I'm not this, saying I'm not that. But my mom then fired back and said, there are things that Lauren would like to be a part of in the class that it just doesn't seem like she's a part of. And do you know what happened? Mind you, this was Sunday night. This was a Sunday night. Do you know what happened? Guess who was suddenly student of the week on Monday morning? It was me. And what hurt me the most about that is that I knew it wasn't authentic. I was smart enough at 8 years old to know that it wasn't authentic. I knew the only reason I was student of the week is because of the conversation that Mrs. Cox had with my mom the night before. Why am I telling you this story? That's what this feels like to me. That's what this feels like. It wasn't a situation where the teacher just outright said, I want you to be student of the week. I want you to she didn't come up with it on her own. It took her to have a parent-teacher conversation with my mom, and my mom openly expressing to her that it bothered me that I was not student of the week. And then on Monday, I see all of a sudden that I'm student of the week. I knew it was fake. I knew it wasn't real. And that's what this feels like to me. I don't know if Sandra is going to process this the way that I'm processing this, but this is what this feels like to me. It's an opportunity for her. More than likely, it's more money for her, but it just didn't feel real. It just did not feel real at all to me. Like I wanted Mrs. Cox to make me student of the week on her own, not based off of, a conversation that she had with my mom on a Sunday night, So that I just wanted to share that story and to ultimately tell you guys that that's what this situation, this hire feels like to me. I cannot say it enough. She's great. I know she's an inspiration to me. I'm sure she's an inspiration to a lot of other people as well. But, I want Sandra to kill it and then some. I really do. FYI, Condoleezza Rice was part owner of the Broncos. I wonder how much she owns. I don't know. That's a great question. It was a guilt nomination. Exactly, Black Jesus. Exactly. And I was smart enough at 8 years old to understand that and to know that. Discriminating for the line of leader is crazy. Yeah, it was crazy, but even though I got those privileges, I just knew it wasn't real. It didn't feel honest. It didn't feel honest, and and things like that. That stuff sticks with you. You know what I mean? Like that stuff definitely sticks with you. But great conversation with Sandra. I know she's gonna kill it in Las Vegas. By the way, the Las Vegas Raiders have a phenomenal football stadium. If you guys remember, I was fortunate enough to go to Las Vegas to do a draft show. It was me, Bridget Case, Kyle King, my friend from Action Labs. Forgive me for not remembering his name. I see his face, but I can't remember his name. It was so much fun. And we actually did this show We did the show at Allegiant Stadium. It was oh my gosh, they have a freaking Twitch suite. It's like a Twitch lounge, and that's where we actually did the show. But yeah, man, the Raiders, they got something real nice. What are your thoughts on a women's football league? I don't know that I actually have a thought on that right now. I don't know. I wouldn't have a problem with it. Keep it? Wait, keep what? I don't know. I can only speak from my experience. I played flag football. I have no desire to be tackled by a man. I have no desire to be tackled by a woman. No women's football league fan. Yeah, I love the NFL. I love talking about the NFL. I love playing Madden when it's not ticking me off. But I have no desire to be physically tackled. So it's a little weird for me. I mean, I know that there are female football players that play tackle football, but it just, I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of, there already is one. I guess I'm just kind of weirded out by it a little bit. And see, Money, that's what I was thinking. I was afraid. I feel like it's going to be another case of the WNBA where there's just not enough eyes on it. There's not enough attention to it. There's not enough, marketing put into it. I've started to follow the NBA as of late, and they're trying. They're doing the best that they possibly can with the hand that they've been dealt. But in terms of financials, in terms of marketing, in terms of a lot of things, they just don't get the same type of funding and the same type of attention as the NBA does. So if you add football to that, I mean, let's just keep it a buck. Let's just keep it real. There are people who are really weirded out by seeing women be aggressive and tackle, and I'm not weirded out by watching it. I'm weirded out by participating in it. I do not want to be tackled. Like I said, I don't want to be tackled by a man, let alone being tackled by a woman. Like, no. That is a scene that you will not find me in. Like I said, I love football. I love the NFL. But as far as physically, I'll play flag football. I'll play tag football, because at that point, it's all about speed, right? It's all about speed. But as far as like actual physical, no, I can't. I mean, to each her own, if that's what she does, I don't have a problem with it. If that's something that ends up getting developed over the years, that's cool. But for me personally, I just don't, that's just not my scene. That's just, you won't find me on a field. I don't understand why the WNBA uses Aram that is the same height as the men's, especially since the ball is smaller and the average height of a woman is smaller. Just lower the court to 9 feet. I don't know that I have the answer on that. I don't know that I have the answer for that either. And Gray made an excellent point. Gray said, I don't think guys would watch women's football, probably not for the right reasons. Yeah, exactly. They totally would not. MFers talk about a WNBA All-Star MVP trophy, yet all the NBA players got a damn glass ball for their awards. Yeah. Didn't they have they just got done with All-Star Weekend too, right? They have a lingerie league. Don't even get me started on that damn lingerie league. Like, why do they have to be out there half naked to play some football? And the only reason I know about the lingerie league is because of old girl that was on Basketball Wives. You know who I'm talking about, Lady K. Did you ever watch Basketball Wives on VH1? She was, oh my gosh, who was it? This was when Evelyn came back to the show for a hot minute. She was in that league and she was doing damage. She was in that league and she was doing hella damage. Hold on, let me highlight this one. Let me highlight Rio. No offense, but I watch women's soccer, gymnastics, and some other Olympic stuff, but not about to watch women's football. Other stuff, yes. Yeah, I don't know that I would watch women's football. And I'm a woman. I cannot, and this is just me personally. I don't run off and say that I'm, anti-feminist, anti or whatever. I'm not. I just, to each her own, that enjoys being tackled, that enjoys watching other women play football. American football, let me be specific. Soccer's different. Obviously, I'll watch soccer during World Cup and the Olympics, but there's several men's sports that I don't watch. Heck, there's a women's basketball league titled Buns in Basketball. We know we're... See, and that's the other thing too. Why is it that if there is a sport that is predominantly male and it is a sport in which women want to get into, it has to be objectified in some way? Buns and basketball? No wonder this country has so many problems. It came out last week that CTE was found on his brain. I was just about to say, that's America for you. Yeah, very effed up. Yeah, very, very effed up. I think, let's see. Hold on, this CTE thing, guys, is, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And, if I'm just being honest, let's see. So typically, he had stage 2 CTE. Historically, we've seen CTE cases of former NFL players who just kind of went off their rocker a lot and either killed someone and then killed themselves or just killed themselves. But Damaria's situation was a little bit different. He got into a very, very severe car crash in 2019. And he had some long-lasting injuries behind that. And he actually passed away from a seizure. And that seizure was caused by the car crash injuries that he had suffered in 2019. And so his family later decided to have his brain evaluated for CTE, and it showed that he did have stage 2 CTE. Hey, Ginger Snitch, let's go. 9 months. Let's get some hype in the chat. Whoopies and Neenies in the chat. Cheers, Lauren. I'm enjoying the show. Thank you, Ginger Snitch. I'm glad that you are here. I'm glad that you are enjoying the show. I need to get back on a schedule. I'm super late with episode 4, but we're here. But yeah, I think it's safe to say that a high percent, I shouldn't say every, but I think it's safe to assume that there is a high percentage of active NFL players and former NFL players who, yes, we have a Twitch baby. We have a Twitch baby. Both active and former NFL players who have some form of CTE. As much as we love the game of football, as much as we love college football, NFL, whatever the case may be, it is a very violent sport. And when CTE came on the scene years ago and players were being diagnosed with it and so forth, the NFL took action to minimize how they took action as far as how you played the game and really not leading with your head, right? Not tackling with your head, not going for the head with tackles. They took a very, very strong stance on that years ago, for obvious reasons, right? I can remember there was a time in which, it was glorified, it was highlighted. The harder you hit someone, the more violent you tackled someone, the more awesome you were. I mean, I gotta tell you, I think one of the hardest hitters from when I started to actively pay attention to the NFL and watch football, I mean, Brian Dawkins, Ray Lewis. Help me out, guys. There were some, oh gosh, who was the linebacker for the San Diego Chargers? I mean, you want to talk about, I mean, Ray Lewis is the one that stands out the most to me. Yeah, Sayal, he actually had, yeah, he had CTE. He took his life, unfortunately. All those players made it on the NFL Blitz Arcane video. And yeah, so, you know, Gray's proving my point here in that the harder you hit, the more glorified you were. Like, just the more kudos and the Sean Taylor, Troy P used to be he did. But yeah, like, just the harder you hit, the more glorified you were for it. The problem with football, hold on, let me go ahead and highlight this. The problem with football is by the time a person gets to college football, they may have had at least 5 major concussions. Many youth coaches don't know how to diagnose them before high school. So here's what I wanted to make. Here's the point that I wanted to make, and why we're even talking about it. I don't understand. What do I have to do? Hold on. Oh, I know what's going on. All right, I'll fix it. I forgot that I had this scene copied on all of my scenes, so I'll fix it. Here's the issue that I have. It's 2022, right? We're halfway through the year. The year is halfway done. It's gonna be 2023 before we know it. Why is it that we are not? We know about CTE. We know about how terrible it is. I think it's crazy that the only way that we're still able to diagnose people, former players, active players with CTE, is when they die and their family says, oh, yes, you can have the rights to our loved one's brain. You can cut it open and you can see and search if they have CTE. And almost every freaking time, literally every freaking time, I feel comfortable saying almost every freaking time, CTE is found on their brain. You know, with Demaryius Thomas, before he actually died, you know, and this just breaks my heart, but he told his mom, he's like, something is just not right. I don't feel right. I don't feel like myself. You know, and then when he passed away from that seizure, it was just like, you know, I get it. There's a long process when it comes to developing medicine, when it comes to advancing technology with medicine. It takes scientists. It takes doctors. The biggest of it all is it takes freaking money. Okay? These doctors and these scientists, they're not going to work for free. They're not going to work for just the sake of working on something. It means maybe some of them will, but you know, a lot of that is research, and that research has to be funded. And it drives me insane that we're just not at a day and age, and we're just not at a stage in which, one, we can diagnose players prior to them actually dying. It doesn't take them dying for us to, you know, split open their brain to see that they had CTE. And two, that there's no type of I mean, how do I want to say this? So my next point was going to be creating some type of preventative measure. But the only preventative measure that there is to not get concussions. Better yet, to not play football. And I think we can all agree that that is never going to happen. Okay? I think that more than likely, if you're not seeing it already, but you will see more people starting to play basketball, starting to play other sports. But I think I don't think football is going anywhere anytime soon. I think the league and leagues are going to continue to try to make the game safer, as safe as you can. I mean, it's a violent sport. Like, there's just no getting around it. Football is a violent sport, but they are going to continue to make rules and take safety precautions to make it not as violent. Not as violent. Probably won't have my son play tackle till he's in high school. Flag football, 7-on-7. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The NFL should be the leading donator in CTE research. Talk to him, Lady K. Talk to him, Lady K. The NFL should absolutely be the leading donator for CTE research. And they're not. That's, they always have the tweets and they always have the stories ready to go when you hear a player, that was diagnosed with CTE or passed on from CTE, and, thoughts and condolences. But, I agree. I'm frustrated that we're just not at a point yet where we can diagnose these things while these guys are still alive. And we don't have some type of system or some type of we don't have some type of system, or we don't have some type of path that we could put them on to somehow reduce the amount of CTE that they have. It's almost like a cancer at this point. It's almost like a cancer, and we over the years have developed technology, and you have chemotherapy to remove the cancer. Are we ever going to, first of all, are we ever going to get to a stage where we can diagnose it when they're alive, and then when we do diagnose it, create treatments, for them to minimize the amount that might be on their brain? Do you know what I mean? I love the NFL, but they are very corporate and are slick enough to have rights to sound bites, but not really interested in hurting their cash cow. Well, and I'll tell you why that is, Rio. Roger Goodell is the commissioner of the NFL. Roger Goodell was the complete opposite of Tagliabue, okay? Roger made his bones prior to being the commissioner. He was a marketing guy. So all of these things that you see as far as what their priorities are, that all comes from Roger. That all comes from Roger. Period, point blank. He's a marketing guy. So the fact that it seems corporate, and that it very much is corporate, it's Roger. There was something I was reading. They currently say the best way to potentially see the signs is an MRI scan, and as such, that is the best way to see while someone is still alive. Well, I think they need to potentially do a better job of, outlining what the signs are. If you feel like you are, you have this going on or you have that going on, make sure that you see your doctor right away. Like, I almost feel like it should be treated like a heart attack. Like, if you start to feel these symptoms, if you start to have these symptoms, call your doctor right away, or, go to the emergency room right away. I mean, I don't know. I wish at this point I'm just coming up with different ideas. They're not, they're unorganized ideas, as you can see, but I just wish that we would get to a point where we created some type of stepping stone towards that, some type of stepping stone toward that. Taboo though while you're on a roster, yeah. It's like Patrick Willis and Andrew Luck to a degree. Yeah. Andrew Luck, I miss Andrew Luck. I'm a partial Colts fan. I'll admit that. And a lot of that has to do with Peyton Manning and the, it's a remix. Hold on. What is this? It's called, Naughty Gal by, Geotheory. Yes. You do hear Beyonce. This is actually one of my favorite mixes. I actually like this mix. But that's the only point that I wanted to make with that. Let's get to a point where we're able to diagnose guys players, you know, so it doesn't necessarily have to be football. I mean, obviously football is the biggest, is the, you know, the sport that you see it the most, but I'm sure anyone that has suffered multiple concussions, you know, whether that's soccer or whatever, could have a form of CTE. But let's just start getting to a point where we can diagnose these guys before they're dead and start creating some type of formula or some type of procedure to where we can reduce whatever amount is on their brain. Yeah, it's going to be risky. This isn't, you know, I get it. This stuff can take years. This stuff can take a lot of time, but you just don't hear about it. Don't they have neurologists on the sidelines now? I believe so. I think they've been there for a while. Well, no, they haven't been there for a while. They just typically have their trainers. Yeah, I remember, I don't know if players still do it, but like, I will never forget, I think it was Jason Witten. He had suffered a concussion in the game, and he literally got in an argument with the trainer wanting to go back into the game. I think players should be fined for arguing with neurologists or arguing with trainers to go back into the game if they have a concussion. Not much, but they're questioning their diagnosis, and if they're looking out for them. Not only are they looking out for them, but they're also looking out for themselves, and they're also looking out for the league in some regard. You know? So that's all I wanted to say about that. I hope we can get to a point where technology advances and we're able to diagnose these guys before they die. Last subject matter on the slate here, Mr. Von Miller. And we don't have to spend too much time on this. It came out last week. Von Miller opened up his mouth last week and said that he was willing to become a Dallas Cowboy for less. What do you guys think about that? Did Von Miller actually want to become a Dallas Cowboy? Gray, how do you feel about that? The NFL is trying, but I think they could do more. Player safety, yeah, exactly. Von Miller, the Kevin Durant of the NFL, chasing rings. Yeah, so he said that he was ready to join the Cowboys, but he didn't want to take that much less. Von Miller told Dan Pompey, I think that's how you say, of The Athletic recently, that when deciding whether to return to the LA Rams in 2022 or continue his career elsewhere, he almost signed with the Dallas Cowboys before money got in the way. Miller explained that Dallas offered him the same contract that he had already agreed with Randy Gregory before the longtime defensive end signed with the Broncos, Miller's former team. The free agent pass rusher and DeSoto, Texas native balked at the Cowboys. I'm having a hard time reading this. Basically, he said he was ready to become a Cowboy, but then the money became an issue. Do you guys think that Von Miller, if he became a Cowboy, the Cowboys would have been a Super Bowl team? I mean, I don't know. A lot of people have different opinions about Von Miller. Hell no. Von chased some money and rings because the Bills are way better than the Cowboys. And honestly, the Bills are my favorite. The Bills are my AFC favorite to not only go to the Super Bowl, but to win the Super Bowl in 2022. I'm still up in the air right now. In fact, Don actually asked us in the Sports Accelerator Discord who our Super Bowl favorite was. I'm still up in the air with the NFC. I will openly talk about this, even though it's not a subject matter, but I think, and maybe this is too early to tell, I think Philadelphia might be a problem. With what they did in the draft and this offseason, I think Philly, if Jalen Hurts can play well, I think Philly might be a dangerous team. 33 years old, gas tank nearly empty in your opinion? Miller is a great player, but it's the Cowboys. They can't get out of their own way. This is true. If Vaughn brought Aaron Donald with him, they would have been a contender. Very possible. But Aaron Donald's not leaving LA. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No way. So it looks like the Cowboys wanted to give him a 5-year, $70 million offer. And that's not what he went for. He went for the 6-year, $120 million offer with $51 million in guarantees. That's what he got with the Bills. I don't, there was a situation that Von Miller was in a couple of years ago that made me feel some type of way about Von Miller. It was some baby mama drama. There were some DMs or some instant message or some text messages that ended up getting leaked where a young lady got pregnant and he was like very, very adamant about wanting her to get an abortion. Ever since that situation came about with Von Miller, my perspective and attitude changed towards him drastically. I am not a Von Miller fan by any means because of that situation. But as it obviously, he got paid with the Buffalo Bills, but I just thought it was interesting that he was willing to go to the Cowboys. Do you guys remember anything about that? Do you guys remember that situation? I want to say this was like, I think he was still a Bronco at the time. It's all about guaranteed money. Cowboys can't count to 7 to run a play. I doubt Von Miller changes that as long as Jerry and McCarthy are there. Yeah, I would agree. Hold on, what happened here? Okay, cool. Thank you, C-Money. I was about to get that, but you got it for me. Maybe 5 mil per sack, 120 mil, maybe 24 sacks left in him. Possibly. Yeah, that shit was swept under the rug like I'm like, yeah, like, why? You are not kidding, C-Money. Like, it's crazy to me that no one truly remembers that situation. Like, the things that he told this girl in this message were appalling. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Let's see, Von Miller. You can find anything. Yeah, this was January. This was last year. Early in January. That he sent disgusting text messages to his pregnant ex-fiance. He said, this is what he said, and this is why I don't care for him. He said, in these text messages, he said, I'm honestly praying for a miscarriage. He said, effing disappear and get an abortion. You're effing whack for this. Keep a nigga baby. You lame as hell for that. How is she lame as hell for that if that was his fiance? And is that what they call it? Is that what they call it? A keep a nigga baby? I won't say it again, but that's what he said. And her reply to him was, shaking my head, I'm beyond disappointed. You've been trying to get me pregnant for years. Cut it out. Now it's, I don't want to be with you. I'm not going to say anything I'm going to regret. So let's just keep it plain. Let's just keep it simple here. Giro, so basically, I'm bringing up a situation that Von Miller was in last year. Or I guess we could say almost 2 years ago. Where he sent some pretty outlandish text message to his then fiance, no longer his fiance, but she got pregnant, and the text messages that he sent her, he was basically praying for a miscarriage, wanted her to get an abortion, and he called the situation a keep a nigga baby, and that she was lame for that. that she was whack for keeping the baby. And her reply to him was that she was beyond disappointed and that he had been trying to get her pregnant for years. I've been in an NFL locker room while an equipment intern. People would not want to hear what they say about, oh yeah, let me highlight that. I know. It's a pretty nasty place. An NFL locker room with what some of these guys talk about in there is a very, very nasty place. But to C Money's point, this situation did get swept under a rug. And not for me though. Like ever since that news dropped, ever since that came about, I wasn't feeling Von Miller at all. But he wasn't lame or whack for knocking her up. Yeah, he wasn't lame for that. Yeah, he wasn't lame for laying down with her, but she was lame see? Thank you, Lady K. She's lame for being pregnant, but he wasn't lame for laying down with her. Like, yeah. I really don't have too much more to say about Von Miller. To be honest with you, I don't even know why I picked him as a subject matter, but I just did.